Master of Orion II is a classic turn-based strategy game, and it's in a genre known as 4X, which is explore, expand, exploit, and exterminate. Many games since have tried to replicate its ease of use, its playability, its replayability, and most have failed. This is one of the classics for a reason, and today I'm going to be reviewing this game. This classic game from 1996. With lots of options to start a new game and 13 playable stock races, this game has lots of replayability. You can also design a custom race with custom traits and one of the stock photos for a race picture. And on top of that, you have different technology levels, different number of players, age of your galaxy, as well as the difficulty level. Average is probably going to be what most of you end up deciding on. It can get hard really fast. Of course, the computer cheats by giving, at harder difficulty levels, enemy races have increased statistics, more, resources, that sort of thing, so it cheats heavily. But this game was definitely one of the most replayable games I've ever met. Part of the lore of this game is the progenitor races that occupied the galaxy before the start of this game. The Antares and the Orions. Apparently, the Orions and Antares fought to control the galaxy long ago, and they kind of still are part of this galaxy. The game came out in 1996, so it'll run on just about anything. It's also available for quite cheap. It's about a $5, maybe $6, depending on your region. It's available on Steam, GOG, and possibly some other platforms. This game will require the use of DOSBox, and if you can put it in your options, use scan lines. The graphics will definitely look better. This is how the game looks like without scan lines. As you can see, it's a bit fuzzy. That's because the original game was at a resolution of 640 by 480, not like today's HD resolutions at all. About the only thing that is dated about this game is the galaxy size. The largest size, which is huge in this game, only has about 75 stars. But the upside is that you can finish a single player game, usually within a few hours. The goal of the game, of course, is to take over the galaxy. You can do that either by eliminating all the other races, conquering them, or have them surrender to you, or by winning a galactic election. There is one other way to win the game, but we'll get to that later. There are 3 things you have to manage throughout the game. That is food production, industrial production, and research production. Early in the game, you are going to be focusing on expanding to more planets within your own system, and eventually building colony ships and expanding that way to colonize planets and other star systems. You're also going to be focusing on building up your planets and researching. It is important that you do the right research and that you're able to do enough of it. You might have to move around some of your population, some of your workers in game on your planets to, especially early in game, to be able to do that. Also early in game, you'll get the opportunity to hire leaders. Sometimes there'll be commanders for your starship fleets, and sometimes there'll be planetary leaders. And they can help out with your early empire development. Once you have hired some leaders, you can either hire them to star systems if they are colony leaders, or if they're ship officers, you can assign them to a fleet. You can build things on every colony, and at every colony you can click on the planet and go to the production screen. You will find your build queue in the middle. You have your choices for ships and military units, well, usually just spies. On your right hand side, on the left hand side, you have buildings or development of your colony. What's interesting is you can actually design your own ships, and to be honest, you have to be able to win in this game. And it is one of the most interesting features of the game that actually wowed me all the way back in 1996. This is where you can load weapons onto your ship, specials, and stuff like that. One of the first things that I do when I have a new colony is to turn on auto build. Then I usually select something for production to get things going. Depends on the situation. But auto build generally works fairly well in this game, unlike some other games. The game has a fairly extensive tech tree, 8 categories that you can research, and they can affect things from more research production, for instance, to weapons, to construction, to how your soldiers or fleets operate, to economics, and how your food production, things like that. If you've left random events on during your game, sometimes things like this will happen, like a monster decides to come to your colony and attack. Early on, these monsters are going to be far, far stronger than anything you've got, and it's going to be really hard to defend, so it can be quite a blow. And, well, this was a space amoeba. It almost completely destroyed my economy, or my colony, excuse me, and it turned it into a toxic world. It was a desert planet. Early in the game, you will meet another empire at some point, and at that point you can engage in diplomacy. This is where you can make your various different types of treaties, make demands of them, offer them gifts to curry their favor. You can also exchange tech, you can declare war, and I suppose you could surrender, but why would you? You're playing a game. At any point in the game, other empires can contact you. Usually when they do, they're going to declare war or ask for tech, in my experience. This time the Sakura are declaring war, and this is the early game for my empire, but for them, they've been busy. They have a much larger fleet than me, better technology, and I am caught flat-footed and will lose this game. Trading technology can be a good idea sometimes. It depends. Sometimes you can get a really good deal. Sometimes maybe not. At some point during the game, the Antares will attack you. Early on, like this is, they will be able to do lots of damage. At some point during the game, you'll have a developed economy, a fleet, lots of colonies, and you will be going to war against the other empires. At least one of them at a time, maybe more. And there will be battles. If you're doing well enough, a lot of them will end up being like this, where you're attacking and you are able to acquire victory. Some of the races will have been eliminated at this point, and you will still need to engage in diplomacy sometimes. But a lot of times you'll have to declare war. This part of the game, galactic elections will happen, and that is one of the ways you can win the game. But that is something that pops up. When you win a battle against an enemy fleet at one of their colonies, you'll have the opportunity to invade. This is where you can take over one of their colonies, and then it becomes yours. You need transport ships to do that. In the middle of the game, you're going to start having to think about spies and spying. You can either have your spies do counterintelligence to prevent other empires from stealing from you, stealing technology, that is, or you can assign them to try to steal different technology from other empires. Now, in this game, other empires will attempt to steal technology from you. You can also ask other empires stop spying on you, but it doesn't always work. And if they have the advantage, they're not going to agree. If you've made it to the late part of the game, you'll have really, really powerful weapons and technology, and it may become advantageous to attack without declaring war. And you'll have the option to destroy planets if you wish, and that can be devastating, although it makes more sense to conquer a planet than it does to completely destroy it in my mind. But you have the option. If you attack somebody without provocation, they will respond. One surefire way to win the game is to defeat the Antares at their home planet. If you do that, you automatically win the game. It's not as satisfying, but it is an option you can do. All in all, Master of Orion II is a very fun game to play. It can be challenging, it can be a little bit frustrating sometimes, but you can also win the game if you give it a little bit of time. There are a number of different ways that make it replayable. A lot of times, random events will make it so you lose. Sometimes you'll run into or be close to the wrong empire in the beginning of a game. There's many things that can change how the game plays out, and that's part of the replayability of it. The thing that makes this game very, very replayable is the fact that there are 13 races, but also, and most importantly, the fact that you can make your own custom races. This is where the fun is. You can make a completely broken race that's really good at one thing and terrible at everything else. You can make a balanced one. You can make one that's really good at a couple things and terrible at others. Anything your choice. And this is what makes it a very replayable game. In my opinion, only Endless Space, the first one, and Stellaris can even compare. I certainly highly recommend this game, and I do think you will have fun playing it. Like and subscribe if you like the video, and comments are always welcome.